Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Channel 6 Central Kentucky TV, community focus on Washington County. And I am most happy today to introduce Angela Logan Edwards, who is a Washington Countyan and who came in from Louisville today to be with us. And thank you very much, Angela, for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We've been trying to get together now for a few months.
Yeah, it's taken a while. Sorry about that.
No problem. You're a busy woman, so I understand that. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here, because you are a busy woman.
Well, yeah, I am, but glad to make time to be here in Springfield. And I get to go see my parents this afternoon.
Yeah. So Angela grew up in Washington County, and you are the daughter of Charles and Dolores Logan.
I am.
And who still live here in Springfield, and we are happy about that.
Yep.
And because they, like many people of their generation, are very involved in their communities, in their church, in their community, and I don't know what we'd do without them. And you also are that kind of person.
Well, you know, it's really hard not to be. I mean, that's what I observed in all my growing up, you know. They were hard workers. They got up and they went to work. And I remember when they'd go to work sick, you know, that's what you did. You got up and you went to work, and, you know, they took care of our family. And we were involved in church, and they were involved in things going on in the community. So I don't really know how to be any different. I try to be involved in my community and in various organizations. I support my kids' schools. I mean, whatever I can do. That's just how I was taught to live and how to be.
Yeah. And so you grew up here, and you are one of how many children?
I am my parents' only child.
Oh, are you done? Okay.
Yeah, my mom and dad raised one of my mother's nephews, so I consider him a brother, but he's older than I am, and about 10 years older than I am, so he was gone when I was growing up. And my father had a son before he and my mother married, but he's deceased.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
And so now, then, so you were the only one at home.
I'm the only one home. That's right. That's right.
And you went to grade school at
Washington County High School. I went
Washington
County Elementary,
Washington County High School.
And
graduated what year?
1980.
There your age.
You're going to tell how old I am, Lisa. 1987.
Okay.
1987.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I went on to Transylvania, and then to UK for law school.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what in the world, Angela, got you into law?
You know, I suspected you might ask me that question, and I honestly cannot tell you the answer. I feel like I kind of always wanted to be a lawyer. You know, I knew I wanted to be involved in something that would help folks and help people, but I really can't. I mean, you know, when I was a kid, I went through the phase like everybody else. You know, oh, I want to be a truck driver. I want to be an FBI agent. You know, those kind of fun things that people, you know, kids pretend that they want to do. I want to be a spy. But I really, when I got serious, I can't really remember when I didn't want to be a lawyer. You know, it seems like late middle school or high school, I had an opportunity to do a career project. And I spent time with Greg Goatley, and he was terrific. You know, teacher and mentor, sort of letting me see what that job looks like and what he gets to do in that role. And that really kind of solidified it. And, you know, I had some other thoughts after I got to college that I might, you know, change my thoughts and become a music major and do something in that vein. But really, I just sort of kept sort of tunnel vision, because that's just always what I wanted to do, and that's how it ended up.
Now, was there something in particular you were interested in law?
Well, you know, I never really thought that I'd be a lawyer who was involved in the courtroom. I thought I'd be sort of a corporate lawyer, you know, doing contracts and writing deals and that kind of thing. You know, I never really appreciated that I wanted to be a litigator and, you know, arguing in court or trying cases. And in fact, when I was at UK for law school, I was on what they called the corporate track. You know, I took all those kinds of business-related courses. And then, lo and behold, had an opportunity. I guess it's one of those classic cases of being in the right place at the right time. I had an opportunity to clerk for a federal judge after law school. She was a partner in the law firm that I was working at while in law school, and just
Now, who was that?
Jennifer Kaufman.
Uh-huh.
And so it was funny. She was a reference on my resume. You know, we'd worked together. I very much enjoyed working with her. And when President Clinton nominated her, of course, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to get to clerk for Judge Kaufman." And I hadn't really ever thought about that. And so one day I approached her and asked her, you know, to consider me if she thought I'd be a good fit. And you know, the rest is history. I was one of her first clerks to stay for a full 2-year term.
And where, and that was in Louisville at
No,
the
when
federal?
she was first appointed, she was a district judge who is what we call a swing judge. She had posts in both the eastern and the western districts of Kentucky.
Okay.
And when she first was appointed to the bench and went on the bench, her eastern district of Kentucky post was in London, and her western district of Kentucky post was in Owensboro. We all lived in Lexington. She lived in Lexington. You know, she had, you know, young children at the time. Her husband was a dentist, and you know, they weren't going to uproot his practice. So part of the job of the law clerks was to meet at her house in the morning and drive with her to London or drive with her to Owensboro. And then she eventually became, her post became Lexington and Louisville, but by then I was, you know, in private practice. Yeah.
Well, what a great experience.
Oh, it really was a great experience. It was one of those things that I was just really very wildly lucky to be in the right place at the right time, and she is still a dear friend and a dear mentor. And I think spending all that time together in the car,
I was going to say,
really
what a opportunity
gave us a depth to our relationship that many of my friends from law school who also clerked, I don't think they had quite the same relationship with the judges that they worked for, because they didn't get to spend, you know, 2 or 3 hours in a car with them every day.
Right.
So that was meaningful.
Yeah. So now, did you have a family at the time, or you were young because you were clerking?
I was straight out of law school, and clerked for her in 94 to 96. I had met the man who became my husband by then, but no, I was not married at the time.
He was in school with you?
Yeah, we met in law school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is he a lawyer too?
Well, yes, he is. But in September of '09, I guess Governor Beshear appointed him to the bench, so he is a Jefferson Circuit Court judge.
Daggone, I knew that.
Yeah.
How did I forget that?
You didn't forget it. You knew
That
it.
is fabulous, right?
Yeah.
And so, golly, what a busy household.
It's a busy household, yeah.
So then you, from there, clerking, you...
Well, by the time I was finishing my clerkship, Brian and I were engaged, and
Okay.
Brian's from Louisville and grew up in Louisville, and had some sense that he wanted to go home. And I kind of figured I'd end up in Lexington or Louisville, and I was receptive to moving to Louisville. So we got married and moved to Louisville, and I started work in private practice as an associate at a firm called Woodward, Hobson, and Fulton. And I was there until September of 2009, when that firm, the Woodward firm, merged with a firm called Dinsmore and Shoal. And I was at Dinsmore and Shoal until February of this year, when I left private practice after, you know, nearly 24 years. Hard decision. And I've joined a company called Lawyers Mutual Insurance Company of Kentucky. So I started working there on February 5th, and effective July 1st, I became CEO.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. So that is just fabulous.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
So, gosh, you weren't there. I mean, I guess that was probably in place, or you know, but is this a new, or did you all form the, or,
Oh gosh, no. This company has been around for 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it was formed in the late 80s and, has a rich tradition and history of serving Kentucky lawyers. At the time, there was not a lot of options for Kentucky lawyers to get affordable, quality malpractice insurance. And a group of really forward-thinking, smart lawyers decided to form a company, and that's how Lawyers Mutual was born.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're more on the business side of things.
So all that, right.
That
All that
corporate
business stuff,
yeah,
is now coming in
is
handy.
paying off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that is fabulous. Well, congratulations to you. And
Well, thank you. But the important part about that is that I am still a lawyer. I still get to be a lawyer and still get to work with lawyers and help lawyers, which, I think many lawyers who make a decision to leave practice or to make a change, some of them often go do something else totally different. And I guess I did think about that, but I knew I'd miss being a lawyer, and I knew I'd miss being around lawyers. That's what I am kind of through and through, and this job is really the perfect marriage of getting to utilize some of those long-lost business skills that I worked and honed all those years ago, and I get to continue to be a lawyer and work with lawyers.
yeah, yeah. And then with your husband, of course, being a lawyer too, so
Yeah.
then you all run in the same circles.
We run in the same circles. That's right. Sometimes we get sick of each other.
You go to all the same events, and
Yeah, well, sometimes.
and that's good.
Well, sometimes it is. We have 2 kiddos, and sometimes if we're both in the same place, that means we've got a babysitter at home. So
Yeah, yeah.
we try to be purposeful about the things that we do together outside, professionally, the things that we do together, so that both of us aren't always away from our kids.
Yeah. Now, how old are those children?
Well-
One of them sitting over here
Yeah.
beside us, Logan, named for his mother's maiden name.
Yeah. Well, we
For-
have 2 boys. We have 2 boys. Logan, who's 13, and Coleman, who's named after my mother-in-law, her side of the family. So Coleman is 7.
Well, those are great names. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a little fella. Coleman is.
Yeah. He's full of energy and pretty gregarious and keeps us busy. And
Uh-huh.
what is it they say? Little kids keep you young. So
That's-
I'm hoping that's spot on.
That's very true.
Right.
No
Right.
doubt about it.
Right.
Yeah. And so, of course, then, I know you're involved in lots of activities in Louisville. But needless to say, we were very appreciative of your being on the board down here at St. Catherine and College. And of course, we talked a little bit about that before going on the air about how.
Well, it's heartbreaking, really, to drive past the campus now. I can still remember the Saturday morning. Hamilton Sims called me at home to ask me to consider being on the board, and I was really honored and humbled that he thought of me to do that. And I am busy, but really didn't think twice about that. I've said more than once, it was really an important opportunity for me to, serve that community and serve the college, and give back to a community that's nurtured and supported me all these years. So I was really very excited to get to do it, and also excited about a lot of very good things that were happening there during the time that I was on the board. And it really is pretty tragic, I think. I remember exactly where I was when I heard that it was closing. There was
Now, you were off the board at that
I was off the board by the time and had been for a while.
Yeah.
But there was a paralegal in my old law office whose daughter was going to come to St. Catherine and play sports. I think she's a swimmer. And he walked into my office, sort of teary-eyed, and with a look of shock on his face, and he said, I just heard that St. Catherine's closing. And that's how I heard it, and I immediately called my mom, and she confirmed what was, the news that was breaking and developing here.
You had no idea.
And I had no idea. Yeah, no, it's
Just
hard.
like many of us, we had no idea.
Right.
Makes me sad when I think about that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the extraordinary history, the rich history, I took a class there, before I left for college. I thought I needed a computer class to sort of prep me for, some of my freshman college curriculum. And, the college was just such a resource for the Tri-County area and beyond. So I'm really hopeful that something very good happens down there. I hope somebody, has a vision for the space and the buildings and the land, and something very positive can come from it. I think
We've
the
been
community
hearing,
deserves it.
things about that, but and I kind of thought it was a done deal too, and I haven't, as I mentioned, explored that in the last few weeks, so I don't know what the status is at this time. I thought, from what I understand, it is going to be an agriculture education center, and with college classes and things of that nature, and I don't know what all hands-on kinds of things, environmental things, but and I do understand it is supposed to open, so keeping my fingers crossed.
I think we read the same article or saw the same news about that. I thought what I heard about the potential buyer and what his vision was for the space could be beneficial to the community, not just Washington County, but Nelson and Marion and beyond. So I'm hopeful. I saw the for sale sign still in the ground when I drove past this morning. So I'll
we'll
say
just
some prayers.
There,
I'll say some prayers.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, all the sisters at St. Catherine, of course, they're
I know they're
always are praying.
They're praying, sure.
And so hopefully something good will come out of all of this.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the community deserves something positive to come from that tragedy. So
Yeah.
hopefully, fingers crossed.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so now tell me then what you, I'm sure that you're spending lots of hours in your new position, but what else are you doing in Louisville?
Well, higher education has sort of always been something that's important. So it probably wasn't totally by accident that I landed on St. Catherine's Board of Trustees. Prior to that, I served on Transylvania's Board of Trustees, and I was very thrilled to serve my alma mater in that way. So I had a couple of terms on Trancie's Board of Trustees. One of the recent presidents developed what he called a Board of Regents. And I was somewhat arm-twisted to join the Board of Regents. I was just really busy at the time and not sure that I had the time to do that. But am now back on Trancie's campus and involved, and am currently chair of the Board of Regents, which is meaningful.
Yes, indeed.
Trancie is going through some transformations. The dorm that I stayed in my entire 4 years is about to be leveled to make way for what's going to be a really very fabulous student center and dormitory space. So I'm very excited about that, although somewhat nostalgic that my old dorm is being torn down.
Yeah.
And I'm currently about to start the final year of my 6-year term on the UK Board of Trustees.
Oh,
so
gosh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. So that's a big one. I mean, Trancie, St. Catherine, UK, they're all, equally important. But the scale and scope of the work associated with being on the UK Board of Trustees is different, obviously, than being on the board at Trancie and at St. Catherine. especially when you add a healthcare enterprise into that work.
Right.
So it's been an extraordinary experience. I'm so very grateful to Governor Beshear for thinking of me to do that. And I'm somewhat sad that time has passed. When I heard a 6-year term, I thought, oh gosh, that feels like a long time. And when I look at my kiddos who, when I started on that board, Logan was 7 and now he's, 13. So I know it's been a long time, but the time really has gone by very quickly.
Yeah. Wonder where he's going to go to school.
Well, I don't know. He's my musical theater kid, so I don't know. We'll see where that takes him. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
We were just reading an article about the terrific stuff that's happening here with the theater community, right?
Yeah,
right.
Might have to get him involved here,
right? And Bill Robinson's son, of course, is such a fabulous story, and there's an article in the paper about him today that I was just reading before we started the interview. So it's always fun to keep up with Bill's son, and occasionally I'll send Bill and I were on the St. Catherine Board of Trustees together, and so occasionally I'll send Bill an email to congratulate him on some terrific thing that I hear his son's doing.
Yeah.
Well,
of course, Logan's got some time before he thinks about college, but it'll be here sooner than you think.
It'll be here before you know it. We're going to spend the fall, probably auditioning for high schools and that sort of thing. So.
Okay. And well, gosh, there's lots of good theater in Louisville, isn't there? Yeah. And then you just come out here in the summertime and do theater.
Yeah.
Because we have theater classes in the summer,
Well, the whole, Tri-County area has really terrific theater offerings, Stephen Foster Theater over in Bardstown, and so it really is.
Several of the youth here have been in
shows over there, right?
Yeah.
Well, I last summer we were able to see Beauty and the Beast over there about this time. I'm not sure we're going to get over there for their production this summer, but I think people, are maybe dismissive of the quality of what they're going to see when they come down here, but it really was pretty extraordinary.
Yeah. Very, very good. And we just had Spamalot here, and it was outstanding.
Sure.
Oh gosh, I just can't say enough about it.
Mom keeps me up to date on what she's seeing around town. So,
because she comes. Matter of fact, she and Pam might have been there the same night I was for that production.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. So, and then but I hope you get the opportunity to come home some, and you'll be in the African American Heritage Parade.
I'll be back. I'll be back this year. I
think you're are you the grandma?
I don't know. I was the Grand Marshal last year.
Okay, you were the Grand Marshal last year.
Yeah, I don't know about this year.
Okay.
I think this is just like a reunion year.
It is, 15 years.
Yeah, I just talked to Nell yesterday about it. So.
Okay.
So I'll just show up and she'll tell me where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. So, 15 years. I can't hardly believe that. And so, that was when Mike was mayor.
Right.
And,
and that feels like a long time, but I remember last year when I was preparing my remarks for after the parade, and I could not hardly believe when I started doing the math that I've been gone for 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've been gone for 30 years.
Yeah.
So it really is, time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Well, do you probably have classmates here that maybe you still stay in touch with some? And,
sure.
And of course, family.
Well, let's see. This is 18, so 17 was a reunion year. So I was here last fall for
your
a high school
reunion,
and we were just across the street at Mordecai's. And I think it's like with every reunion, you sort of dread it. You're like, oh gosh, everybody's gained weight, and do I look too old, or whatever you think about going to a reunion. But oh my gosh, we had just the best time. It was terrific. It was what I felt like was the best turnout we'd ever had.
How
And,
many were in your class?
Oh, I don't remember exactly. I would guess about 130.
Uh-huh.
And so it was really a lot of fun to see folks. I mean, unlike people who grow up in a bigger city, where they go to an elementary school and then they go to a different middle school and kids start to scatter, based on their interests or whatever. When everybody here, sort of goes to the same school, I mean, there were people at that reunion that I've known since kindergarten. And that's really very special, to
Yeah.
have memories with certain people that go back that far.
Actually, I think that as you get older, those relationships are even more meaningful.
Absolutely.
Even someone that, your grade school friend that you hadn't seen, and I know that because I just had an 8th grade class reunion, 50 years.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
I hate to tell that, but at any rate. And, people that you were friends with in grade school, it's almost like you can
The
just
years you can pick right up.
pick right up.
Right.
Because you just had that kind of a relationship.
And even if you're talking about stuff that happened in the past, it still feels very current. And then it's just so nice to hear people, to find out what people are doing with their lives and
Yeah.
and to talk about people's kids and that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
So that's great.
Yeah.
And then you'll be here for the African American Heritage Festival, which is on August 3rd.
Right.
My birthday.
Oh, well,
every year.
happy
So
early
I'm
birthday.
always- Thank you. And that on Friday night. And then, of course, the Holy Rosary Picnic on Saturday, which is always a fabulous event. And your mother works so hard at, and your father.
Well, I was going to say I've probably missed one, maybe 2 of those, in my 48 years. I teased my husband when we started dating and we got married that my parents were terrific and would not have lots of expectations of him, but that he would be in Springfield on the first Saturday of August. So
I hope the kids come too.
absolutely.
And-
Now they're old enough. At least Logan's old enough. He gets put to work. He gets put to work. Right.
Serving
Yeah.
dinner or something probably
Yeah.
for the Fabulous Dinner. Well, one
Right.
thing you can say for sure about, I always look forward to it, not only because I usually celebrate my birthday at dinner because it's, the food is just wonderful.
Right.
What can you say? And so that always makes it a fun evening for us,
Yeah, no, it's a very, very important part of summer. I can remember when it was the highlight of the summer when I was a kid, and to get to we'd have to plan a homecoming outfit and go buy something new to wear at a homecoming, and it's equally fun now that I help mom and dad cook chicken and do whatever they need me to do. So it's a lot of fun still.
Oh, yeah. And all the kids have such a great time, and you have the cake wheel, and I know Mike would get aggravated every year at me because I wouldn't leave until I won a cake.
Until you want a cake, that's right. That's right.
So finally he'd just have to cover all the numbers.
So you could win one, and,
Yeah,
and he could get you to
so
leave to go home. Sure.
So it's a fun evening,
Right.
and a family event.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know, if you probably have, I think you have a lot of cousins here, don't you? And
Oh, I have a very, very, very large, Catholic family,
Yeah,
on mom's side and dad's side.
that's what
I have aunts and uncles here and cousins here, and my husband has a pretty small family, and he's sort of given up. He's like, if you don't know all your first cousins, there's no way I'm going to learn all your first cousins.
So
So
you
that-
do
that-
have a lot of first cousins.
There's a
then.
lot of us, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he probably enjoys that, if you come from a small family like me, when I would get with Mike's family, there's so many of them. He has a ton of
Right,
cousins.
right.
I mean, I just think it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
he
very-
probably enjoys that.
I think he does,
Yeah.
but he has given up trying to learn everybody's name and the connection, who's whose child and
Yeah.
and whose grandchild. He's sort of given that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward then to seeing you at the homecoming and
Which
at
is just in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and-
The summer's flying by.
and at the African American Heritage Festival on Friday night. August 3rd, and then the homecoming on August 4th. So it's going to be a great weekend, and I just want to thank you and your parents for all the wonderful things that you have done, accomplished in your life thus far. No telling what's coming up next. And to your parents also for such a nice young lady and someone who wants to give back. That's always a focus on our program, is giving back to the community, and certainly you have and your parents have, and we just want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having us, and I'm biased, of course, but I do think my parents are pretty terrific.
Yeah. You have a right to believe that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your children will be just as fabulous as you and your husband and their grandparents are. So.
Well, if my mom has anything to do with it, I think that's probably going to be the case.
Well, thanks, Angela.
Thank you so much.
For
I
being here
appreciate it.
today.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.